Hi, and welcome to Something to Talk About. I'm Linda McNamee, and for the next hour, we are going to celebrate the silver anniversary of Boston Renegades. Well, that's what your shirt says. So, Boston Renegades, an adaptive sports beep ball team. And if you don't know what beep ball is about now, you will very shortly. Before we begin, as always, I would like to invite you. You can email me at any time with a suggestion for a future topic by emailing talk@bcattv.org. I would also like to thank my wonderful crew for this evening. Varys Connolly, and I think I saw Tad Stefanak around. I don't know if Tad's working on the show or not. But Varys is one of the staff members here, making sure that all of us volunteers relatively behave ourselves. I would like to thank our wonderful crew. Who do we have? We have Jesse O'Regan, Gwyneth McNamee, and Lucian Gates, who have given up their evening to come help out at BCAT. And it's become a tradition. Thank you, Paul, for staying home for Daddy Date Night. Hope you are having fun with the new Nintendo Switch 2 and the child behind the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, business aside, I would like to welcome my wonderful guests and thank them for coming. Dean, or Dino, Vasile?
Vasile.
Oh, sorry. I should have checked that beforehand.
No, that's good.
Who has, and you've been a team player on the Boston Renegades since 2004?
2003.
2003?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
The website lied.
Yeah, it does. I joined Little League at 40.
Okay.
So, and that was...
Because I saw somewhere that you, actually, I think it was your team manager who said you are known as the 40-year-old rookie.
Yes.
And since that is your title, you will be 40 forever. So.
Yes. Yeah, that was 2003. 40.
So.
Okay, Little League.
Okay. And now we have, next to Dino is Melissa Hoyt, who is also on the team. And you've been on the team since 2007?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So, well, welcome. Thank you so much. Love the shirts.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Pleasure. And it is the Association of Blind Citizens Boston Renegades.
Oh,
and
okay.
Yep. John Oliveira, the president of the Association of Blind Citizens, formed this team in 2000. And we are celebrating our 25th anniversary this year.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Well, before we get into the Boston Renegades, I know there's a full title to it, but I can't remember that much.
It's all good.
Can you guys tell me a little bit about yourselves, where you grew up, how you came to the Burlington area, and how you first found out about beep ball?
Sure.
You.
I'll go first. Okay. I grew up on the Cape. And
do you still live?
No,
that would be a rough
moved.
commute.
Yeah, exactly. Once I went to college in the Boston area, I pretty much stayed on that side of the bridge thereafter. And
I love the description.
now live in Medford with my partner for life. And,
I love it.
Yeah, so I live not too far from here.
Cool.
Yeah. And I heard about beep ball actually when I was at the train station one day for the first time. I'd not heard of the sport ever before. This encounter with a volunteer for the team at the time. I had probably a Red Sox hat on and probably a jacket. I think I had their Red Sox jacket on or something. And she came over and started a small conversation about baseball and looks like I like sports. And then it kind of went from there. And she asked if I'd ever heard of the Boston Renegades. I said no, because at that point I hadn't. And then she started telling me a little bit about their team, and it intrigued me. So I connected with the head coach, Rob Weissman, and went to a practice.
Sounds really cool.
And I've been hooked ever since, I guess.
I love it. Okay, Dino, you're up. Better up.
I don't know if I can follow that. Well, let me start a little about me. I'm currently in the third iteration of myself. Life has been rather interesting. I started life in construction, went into food service with the Commission for the Blind. Now, the pandemic, I'm out of that. I'm going to digital accessibility. In the meantime, in 2003, a fellow vendor of mine in the vending program asked me about, beep ball. I said, what the heck? What's beep ball?
What?
Yeah. And he said, well, it's like baseball adapted for the blind. And he said, it's very cool. And he said, I think you'd really love it. So I went to practice one day and met Rob. And, it was a wet day and there were puddles everywhere. And we still practiced. And I actually got hooked. It was kind of intense. And back in the early days, we were practicing in Cleveland Circle.
Oh, okay.
And the field there at the time was a disaster. And it's what we had, what we worked with. And I actually fell in love with the sport. And it's the first competitive sport that I had ever played. And like I said, I'm 40 years old, I'm finally into sports. Growing up, I was always told by my eye doctor that I can't play contact sports because I'll go blind if I get hit in the head. At that time, I could see.
Okay.
I had a driver's license. I got my license and everything else. So, and in 1985, I was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa.
That sounds scary.
Yes, so it's a degenerative condition. It leads to blindness. And so I go visit my ophthalmologist, and I said, these people ran extensive tests on me, and they said, as soon as they looked in my eye, they could see the bone spicule pigmentation that is an indication of this condition on my retina, and how come you didn't see it?
Yeah.
So he looks, and he says, I don't know how I missed that. And, he was worried that I was going to sue him. But in the meantime, I've really, the sport taught me about teamwork.
Okay.
And my entire life, I've been in business for myself up until my most recent iteration. And that's why I mention it, because now I'm actually not working for myself. I'm in an apprenticeship program, and I'm learning how to work with others in a team situation.
Okay.
And this situation is the playing for the Association of Blind Citizens Boston Renegades is giving me the skills I need in order to,
Be
work
successful.
and be successful in this. So I am now a 62-year-old apprentice.
Alrighty then.
Yep.
Who loves baseball?
I love it.
I beat ball.
Yep. Beat baseball.
Cool. Now, is it beat baseball or is it
Yes.
just beat ball?
Beat ball, but it's beat baseball.
Beat
It's how
baseball, yeah.
blind people play baseball.
Yeah.
So describe the game to me. I've actually seen it once, which is where I met your wonderful manager, but tell me a little bit more about the sport.
Okay, do you want to start with the defense or want me to go with the offense?
You can start with the offense and then
Well, I'm going to be offensive. All right.
what's new?
Just remember, this is a family-friendly show.
Absolutely.
Okay.
In our sport, we play with a softball that is, it's a 16-inch diameter softball, so it's fairly large.
That's 16 inch?
Yeah, well, it's in circumference.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, not diameter.
When you said diameter, I'm like,
I know, it's circumference.
that's like a beat
But,
ball.
yeah, but it
Which-
weighs about a pound. It's got some weight to it. I'll hand it to you in a second.
Okay.
But
What's
once the game begins,
What's a little straw coming out?
I'll show you.
all right.
That.
That's part of the-
Linda,
part
be
of- that's part
quiet.
of this education. So, for offense, you don't need the ball to make the sound it's about to make. This is basically for defense. So once the ball is hit, the defense can find the ball.
Okay.
Okay.
But wait, offense doesn't need to
No,
hear it?
He'll explain.
I'll explain that.
Okay.
Now.
I'm like, you kind of would have to know what you're aiming at, but okay.
Exactly. Now, first off, in our sport, whether you're if you have partial vision or no vision, everybody wears a blindfold.
Okay. No pun intended, but level
No,
the playing
they
field.
have a blindfold, and everybody's at the same level. In tournaments, if somebody's accused of cheating, they will actually tape patches over your eyes before they put the blindfold over you.
Really?
Yep. So
Has anybody ever done that?
well, there are
you're
definitely
aware
people
of.
that
There have been
cheated, but I
change.
actually know somebody that was accused of cheating that had glass eyes that was patched.
Right.
So, I mean, it really does get kind of silly, but it puts everybody on the
Okay.
same level.
Right.
Now, there are 6 players on the team, okay? And we have a pitcher and a catcher. They're on our team.
Okay. Are they part of the 6?
Nope.
Okay.
The pitcher and the catcher aren't part of the 6.
Okay.
The 6 really comes into play when you're in defense, and she'll talk about that.
Okay.
When I'm ready to hit the ball, I'm a lefty, so I'm sitting there ready to go, and I'll say, "Coach," to the catcher.
Okay.
He'll say, "Set." Pitcher will go, "Ready, pitch." And
Okay.
based on his cadence, we time our swing. Now, we're supposed to have a very consistent swing, so we're in the same place all the time at the same time. So when the pitcher throws the ball, we nail it. That's the point.
In theory.
We got to hit the ball.
Unless I'm pitching and I can't hit the broadside of a barn.
Right. Now,
Okay.
there's only 2 bases in our sport. Technically, it's first base and third base.
Okay.
And they're 100 feet down the line and 10 feet in foul territory. So they're not in the field of play.
Oh, okay.
Once the ball is struck, one of those 2 bases is going off. So
Okay.
it's not automatically first or third, it's random. So as soon as you hit the ball, you have to run to that base. The base is about a 4-foot tall padded cylinder.
Okay.
It has a speaker in it that goes beep, loud and
Okay.
obnoxious. If you get to the base before the person in the field picks the ball up off the ground, it's a run. If the person in the
Cool.
field picks up the ball before you get to the base, it's an out. So each play takes between 6 and 8 seconds, depending on how
Wow.
fast or slow.
Okay.
Yep.
Some runners
Do you
make
still
it.
have like innings with 3 out, or are you getting
Well-
to that and I should just be quiet again?
It's all good. Yes, we have 6 innings.
Okay.
Okay. We have 3 strikes and a take. So
Ooh, what's a take?
a take would basically be a ball. So if you're striking and you've swung 3 times and you're just not meeting the catcher and he's not meeting you, you sit there and you wait a minute. Okay. Now, I'm ready to go. He pitches the ball. You just sort of just get the timing down in your head. And then, all right, let's get that last ball, the money ball. And then that 4th final strike, you don't make it a strike. You go and you run and hit the base.
Cool.
Yep. It's very, very fast, very competitive. Ideally, what you want to do is if you're running down the first base line, you want to keep yourself a little bit to the right of the base, so you're tagging it with your left hand. Vice versa, if you're running down third base, you want to keep yourself so the base is a little to your right and you're tagging it with your right hand. Ideally, that's what you want to do.
Okay, but that has nothing to do with which hand is dominant. Like you mentioned that you were like a
when
left
I
hand.
run down the baseline, I just try to line up that sound between my
You
ears
just
and I
book.
nail it and I hit the ground
Yeah.
every time because I just run right over it every time.
Oh, okay. Well, that you did say it was padded.
Oh yeah, it is. But and we had a video made some years back, and one of the guy filming, and I'm running down the third base line, and he says, you got air so well." I said, I really caught the whole thing. But it's really intense. It's high impact, high energy, and it's a ball.
Ha, I get it. Yep. Ball.
Now,
Little
I
tiny
want to
jump.
give this to you,
Oh my gosh.
so you can feel that, and
Wow.
you can see.
So it feels the same as a normal softball,
but it has a big speaker in it.
Yep.
And ideally, when the pitcher is pitching the ball, he wants to pitch it flat. So the speaker's like more to the side, and you're not going to hit
okay.
because if you hit that speaker, you'll knock the ball out.
Yeah.
And that ball is about $40.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so the speaker's on one side,
Yep,
the little
if you
straw
pull the-
thing you would take out,
yeah,
right?
if-
The little straw thing you'd want to keep on the other side,
Well, you take it out, and it goes in a pocket somewhere. And,
Yeah.
but the hole where the straw came out, is it a straw? No, it's a little stick.
It's like a headphone jack. You can pull it out
Okay.
and see how it goes in.
No, I'm just wondering which direction you have to throw the ball.
Keep it so the straw's to the left and the speaker's to the right, or the other way around. So when you
okay.
hit the ball, you're hitting it on the flat side of the ball.
Got it.
Yep.
Where it says the rock.
Yeah. Yep. And
Cool.
you can go on your side now.
And then Dino hits the ball.
Okay, Dino,
and
reach out. I'm gonna give it back to you. Oh, there you go.
And it now goes into the defense, and it's beeping. And on
So the ball
defense,
stays beeping?
it stays
Yes.
beeping
Okay.
as it's going out to the field. And there are 6 players that are out on the field on defense, in theory. And there's different positions. We use shorties, which are front line of defense. Then you
Okay.
have your first and third baseman. You have a midfielder, and then you have, some teams call it different things, but rover, which is like out in the outfield in case the ball gets hit out, way out.
Oh, okay. Has that ever happened?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then we have 2-sided coaches on the field with us that are our spotters.
Okay, so they don't count as part of Nova 6.
No.
They can see.
Yeah, and they're just there. They essentially, there's one on each half of the field. Sometimes
Okay.
the teams might do it a little differently, but in our case, we have one on each half of the field because we're split up.
Okay.
And we listen for a call, which isn't, they're not allowed to tell us like, oh, the ball's on your right, or they're not allowed to give us any information except call out a number.
Okay.
And they have to use a different pitch for where they think it's going to be. So if it's a sharp, hard hit 3, we have to know what that means and be listening for our caller to say something. And sometimes, you have to adjust positions, but there's 6 of us out there, and we have to communicate to each other. So if it ends up going over us, that 3, we have to say left. We're allowed to say left, right, over. So we're allowed to give each other feed information about so that somebody behind, if I'm playing shorty, and there's someone behind me at first base, I'm allowed to say, left or right or over me or, so and so come up.
Because you heard it go by you because you're kind of in the infield.
Yep.
All right.
So the sighted coaches the sighted coaches can only say one thing, which is a number, in whatever pitch they think the call is.
Okay.
And then the players are allowed to do a little bit more because you have to give each other feedback. So
the numbers,
collide.
I think when it was explained to me, it's like creating wedges on the field.
Yes.
So 1 is in the direction of first base.
Might be on the left.
And 6 is on the direction of third base. No.
6 could be in the middle.
6, the way different
Oh, I
teams,
thought it would be like a clock.
The middle,
1, 2.
different teams do their defense differently. The way we do it, we actually have 12 zones.
Oh,
we have 1 through 6 from both. So you have 1 is up the lines.
Yep.
Okay.
So if the spotter on the first base side of the field calls the ball's going to be going up that side.
Yep.
Okay, so that one.
Right.
But if it's going
on the other
third
side,
base, that
then
would be
the one
that
would be on my in my case the right
caller on
side.
that side.
Yeah.
Yep. And now, if both callers call the same number, it's okay. If both callers call different numbers, that's an out.
Yep.
Or a run.
Right.
Yeah, because they can't do that.
And you want to get the ball before the defense needs to get the ball before the player
gets to
reaches
the base.
Yep.
And you have to be very clear if you have possession of the ball that you have it in your possession. You can't up in a low short voice. You have to be able to feel loud and proud, essentially, right? Like up or whatever. Some other players say ball. Some indications that the
bingo
hear you.
No.
Yeah.
The one key for defense is you need to have solid possession of the ball.
Yeah, both hands.
If you're
kind of like in football.
If you grab the ball with both hands and you're bringing it up, it's not officially up until you stop moving.
Yep.
So if you can grab the ball with one hand, hold it up like that, ball, it's up, and it's done.
Okay.
But if you're holding the ball and moving, you're losing a second. You want to stop.
So if you wanted to stop at your waist,
Yep.
as opposed to lifting it over your head to say,
but don't have it trapped against your body. It's got to be away from your body. Yep.
And off the ground.
Yep.
well, I know off the ground part, but off the
out
body.
here.
Yeah.
Is that to
so
show
if you
that
trap
you
it like this and you say caught, it's not caught because it's trapped against your body.
Oh, so it's basically to make sure you have control
Yes.
of the ball.
Yep.
Okay, I am curious because you've shown me the baseball that you use, or the beep ball, or the beep baseball. What do you use for a bat? Do you use a normal
Standard
baseball bat?
Aluminum bat. Yep. Some people use wooden bats, but we use regular bats.
Yep.
They do not want us using some of the composite bats that they have out now because several years back, a coach, a pitcher in Chicago was pitching the ball and the composite bat shattered and the barrel, he's only standing 20 feet away, and the barrel of the bat lodged itself in his leg. Oh yeah. So I mean, the following year they started putting tape on the bats and everything else.
Yeah.
It really got very crazy. But,
Well, because in MLB, sometimes you see
splinter
those guys breaking wooden bats.
Yep. On little baseballs.
Right.
Little baseballs.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, we have some big guys that really torque the ball when
Yeah.
they hit this. So I mean, they can definitely break the bats.
How long does a ball generally? What is the shelf life? Not shelf life, but the game life.
Oh, it can be a new ball in the start of a game and be broken in that game sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah, we have to bring, if we go to tournaments, at least 6 balls to the tournament. Along with whatever balls
6
are
balls
there.
per game,
least, yeah.
or
we bring them. The tournament has balls, like
Okay.
when we go to the World Series, but we are all responsible for bringing at least 6 balls with us.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
The team is. Yep.
Where do you get stuff like that? You know, where do you get the balls?
We have to order
you
'em.
can't really go to like Dick's Sporting Goods.
No, there's a producer of them that we have to order from.
Okay. Yep. Do the players also have
Actually,
to wear?
a couple. The ball that you have is a new ball that
Well,
one of the.
you have it now.
No.
Oh, she hadn't given it to me yet.
Well, the
You're
ball that
ruining
you
the
don't-
surprise.
The ball that you don't know about
Okay.
is actually it's a dead ball, but it's called a Fonzie ball, and a pitcher from one of the teams actually developed this ball. And
Okay.
it's different than this ball because it doesn't have the big speaker on it. It still makes a loud noise.
Okay.
But it's supposed to be a bit more reliable.
Yeah.
But still, it's
Okay.
still in the $40 price range. And,
Wow.
you know, sometimes we go through, 5, 6 balls in a game because people hit the speakers, they kill the ball,
Yeah.
and, things like that happen.
Yeah.
So,
Well, when it's coming at you at several, I don't want to say 100 miles
it's
an hour.
not,
but
no, it's not.
It's
The pitchers
coming
are,
at
our
you.
pitchers are pitching underhand.
Okay.
Like softball, so it's
But
not like.
10 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour, whatever. It's coming at you. Kind of hard to control where the speaker is going to be
That's
by the
true.
time it gets
No,
20
that's true.
feet away.
That's true. That's why sometimes they break.
Do fielders or defense have gloves?
That's an individual. Well,
Yeah,
so we don't use like baseball gloves.
Some do.
Okay.
But we use like some people use batting gloves. They're batting
Okay.
gloves or like.
But some do use gloves, and
True.
I don't know how they do it because
No.
I couldn't do it.
No.
No way.
Because
at
your
all.
normal baseball glove would not fit
Exactly.
Yeah,
that
no,
ball.
They've got bigger gloves. Well, the gloves they use for softball.
But I'm just wondering, like, if you choose not to use a glove,
I
does that
always
like
play
hurt your
barehanded.
hand?
I always play barehanded.
Yeah.
It doesn't come at you that hard.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because by the time it usually or
Yep.
oftentimes it hits the ground first
Yep.
before you actually get possession of it because
Okay.
you're diving on the ground for it and
Now, a couple other aspects of the game.
do tell.
170 feet out, there is a white line painted across the field. It's an
Okay.
arc. That is the home run line.
Oh, okay.
If the ball is hit in the air over that line, it counts as 2 runs.
Got it.
Okay?
Okay.
Now, there's a couple of fielding rules that have come into play. And you've got those, right? The double.
I think she needs a
if it
reminder.
hits the ground and then if it bounces up.
Yeah. If you catch the ball on a bounce, it's
One
2.
bounce.
It's in one bounce.
One
If you
bounce.
catch it on one bounce, it's 2 outs.
Yep.
If you catch the ball in the air, it's 3 outs.
Wow. Okay.
It's very hard to do.
Just
It's very hard to do.
Even when
But,
you
rarely
so
hear about those.
different aspects. And then our coach, Rob Weissman, has really invested his time and energy into this sport. He's responsible for rules of the game that they wouldn't be in place unless he lobbied for them,
Okay.
so that players have more time to play. There's a substitution rule that he put into play
okay.
that you can take a player out, put another player in,
Okay.
and they have to stay in for 6 outs before you can pull them out and replace them.
So 6 outs
Six.
for that team.
Six outs, period. So
Okay.
Yeah.
between the
So
two teams, so 6
like
outs.
a full inning.
A full inning.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he's also responsible for getting the DF and the DH implemented, so you can have a designated fielder
Okay.
or a designated hitter.
I got the DH part.
Yep,
But I'm like, what's a DF?
designated fielder.
Okay.
So in this person, that's all they're going to do is go out and field. They won't bat.
Okay.
But again, it gives you the ability to get more people on the field and to play to their strengths.
Oh, okay.
It makes the game a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
So,
Those are some of the changes that have happened over the years
yeah.
Okay.
within the sport.
Cool. Now, when he introduces these changes to, the beep ball authorities,
The NBBA,
NBBA.
the National Beep Baseball Association.
Okay. When he introduces them to this governing organization,
Yep.
do any of the ideas get to come from you guys, the players, or?
If we have ideas
Okay.
that make the game better, and he, implements them and likes them, and we try them, and it works for us, and he thinks it's something worth going to bat for, yeah, he will absolutely do it.
Cool.
Yeah.
How many beep baseball teams are there in the league? Because you don't really hear about them totally often, frequently.
I'll let you in on a secret.
What?
This is international.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. We have teams from
Have you
Canada.
guys played internationally?
We have not gone international, but Taiwan has made the trip out here to the World Series a couple of times, and I believe they're coming out this year again.
Yes, they are.
Cool.
For the first time in years, they'll be back.
Now, Puerto Rico is part of our country, but they're trying to establish a team, and we're doing whatever we can to help them. And
Okay.
this is where, trying to get people to help support the team and help us raise funds and to sponsor us would really come in handy, so we could go take these trips to help build the league by getting other teams involved and giving them games to play.
Cool. Speaking of fundraisers, I know I'm jumping around.
You are doing your job.
Well, that's what I
That's what they
pretend
pay
to
you
do.
for.
Yeah, exactly. So you do have a fundraiser coming up this weekend, so June 7th, at, 10 o'clock at Brandeis University in Waltham.
Yep.
And are you guys going to be there?
I will be.
She will be. I'm not going to be there.
You're bailing, you're disappointing your team.
Well, at this point, I didn't get to this part in my story.
Oh, okay.
I'm coaching right now.
Yep.
So
Cool.
yes.
Okay.
I'm in a shape because round is a shape, but I'm not in the shape I need to be right now to get down there
Fair enough.
and run down the line. So I'm enjoying, because we have quite a few new people on the team this year, and teaching them and showing them techniques that I think will make them more successful and
Okay.
better ball players. It's
Well, you've
rewarding for
been
me to do it.
Doing it for a few years.
Yep. Yep.
So when you were talking about players, and especially when Melissa was talking about fielding, when you play, are you designated like you will always, Melissa, you're always going to be the first base person?
No, there's opportunity to learn all the positions, really.
Okay.
I mean, like in my case, I've played every position on the field at some point or other.
Oh,
over
cool.
my tenure with the Renegades.
Okay.
But there are people that their strengths might be a certain position, so
Okay.
they may primarily play that position,
Oh, like
but you end up learning.
Guy has played right shorty for years.
Right.
He can play other positions, but he's dynamite in that spot.
Yeah,
He
so
really
sometimes
does a great
you
job.
want people
So
to
if you
just
really need
hang
him
with
somewhere
a
else.
certain position, yeah.
Yep.
But you're not stuck to that. Like you're always going to be first base, or you're always going to be the
Okay.
midfielder. There.
How do you decide?
The coach decides.
Yeah, the coach decides.
This is Rob's decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
In Rob's wisdom, we play. Yep.
Okay, because I'm always thinking of, well, I want to play
Right.
this. No, I want to, but you played it last time,
Yeah, no, it kind of goes. It goes off of what the coach sees at practice. It goes off of people's strengths.
Okay.
Whether they're better at first base or third, or
And their
better
comfort level.
midfield, their comfort level,
Okay.
their speed for different positions.
I don't know, getting a ball thrown at me when I can't see it just
You're not going to bother
doesn't
you.
sound too
Guy, you can't see
comfortable.
it. It doesn't bother you.
Right.
And then I have to run and tackle a 4-foot giant marshmallow.
Well, ideally,
That's
you don't
screaming
wanna,
at me.
You don't want to tackle it. You know the Everlast big punching bags?
Yeah.
Well, it looks like those, but it's not filled with sand. It's
Right.
filled with foam. So it's not going to break your hand when you hit it. It's going to flex. But it's basically what it
Okay.
looks like, is that cylinder.
I still don't think I'd want, so you don't want to tackle it, you just want to smack it with your hand as you're running?
Ideally, you want to want to
Okay.
smack it, but like I said, I usually just go right at it.
People dive at it,
Yeah.
slide into it.
Some people
hit it.
slide. I don't trust myself to slide because I'll miss it.
I don't trust myself to. I'd hurt myself.
But,
I ended up spraining my ankle when I was playing softball, and because I had an argument with third base. So yeah, I'm not sliding anyway. I wasn't sliding then, but okay. So in addition to the exhibition game and clinic on the 7th, wait, do we want to talk more about what's going to happen during that clinic? Anybody, everybody can come and play and check things out.
And check it out.
the organization pays us, I think it was $1,000.
Yes.
They pay us $1,000 to play the game. This is a fundraiser for us, so this is,
Okay.
we invite organizations, police departments, fire departments, anybody, schools, anybody that
play
wants to.
against you?
And we will teach them how to play.
Oh, okay.
We will show them how to bat blindfolded. If for some reason they just can't do it, we'll say, okay, take the blindfold off, hit the ball, put the blindfold on, and then run.
Right.
Okay, so
Okay.
we give them a shot. And, unfortunately, we usually beat them, but,
But it's a good time.
But it's a great time.
Yeah.
I love it.
And we want to get people exposed to the sport. Blindness has a stigma, and people get very uncomfortable around blind people. They don't know how to talk to us. They're trying to give us directions, and they grab our arm to try to pull us someplace instead of, okay, let me grab your arm, and then you can lead me around. So people need to be taught how to, communicate with somebody that can't see.
Okay.
And then they need to understand that blindness does not mean that somebody's just in the dark.
Right.
I have some vision. I know you're there. I can sort of see your silhouette there, but I can't make out any of your features.
Okay.
I know you're gorgeous, but I can't see it.
Sorry.
But so
Keep that illusion, Dino. Keep that
it
illusion.
works for me. You remind me so much of Roseanne's sister. It's so funny.
Okay.
And, same kind of sense of humor. But yeah, blind people are all people. We want to play sports. We're not trying to show people how creative we are and how, inspirational we are. We want to play sports. We want to have fun. And we need your help to get this done. And we really want people to get involved with our sport. And we want to help this sport grow, not just be limited to, 1 or 2 teams in our state. We want it to get
How
bigger.
many are there in the state?
There's 2,
Just 2.
in all of New England.
In all of New England, and they're both like here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right here.
Wow.
Yep, knocking on your doorstep.
And part of that with the having these charity games is, aside from exposure to the sport and how we can be competitive and get out there, is trying to draw some volunteers and coaches.
You read my
because-
mind. I was going to say, somebody volunteer. I mean, do they have to be visually impaired to help?
No.
No,
So
in fact, we had 3 volunteers out in the
Right.
booth.
that you met
And
earlier.
They're not visually impaired. They
Okay.
had no affiliation with any of us players.
Right.
They took an interest. Brian has been with the team since the very beginning with Rob.
Okay.
And then the 2 other people you met today are very new, but they're just doing it because they want to get involved.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
those are what we're looking for. We
That's
need
really
people to
all
get
you
involved.
could ask for, is people who want to do something good in the community. They don't have to know anyone who's blind and then think, oh, I should get involved in something that's a blind organization. It's
And the
more
knowledge of
about
baseball
wanting
is
to do
great.
it. Yes, that's a plus. Softball or baseball knowledge is a definite plus for us.
Yeah.
But if you don't
But
have
if you're
that,
a Yankees fan,
We've had a few.
well,
of
we've
those
had
over the
that.
years.
So,
We've had a few of them.
but don't let not having that experience.
don't let being
not
a
deter you
Yankees
either.
fan stop you.
That's right.
I know, I should not say that out loud.
Oh, no,
Yankees
we
are
have
people
it.
too,
Yep.
sometimes. How big is the Renegades team?
Oh gosh.
Like, how many players?
I think
Rotate
I think the
around.
roster currently has about 20 players, and I think we have close to 20 volunteers.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Okay.
we need more.
Yep.
Because all the players aren't showing up all the time.
Okay.
And then all the volunteers don't show up all the time.
That's
And
life
so-
outside of
Yeah.
the fields, you
We
know.
have life outside baseball.
Well,
I remember seeing a T-shirt that I think my aunt had once, because she's also a huge baseball fan, and it said, "Baseball is life." The rest is just minor details.
Exactly.
So, okay. Celebrating. Oh, wait, we never continued. So you have the Beast of the East tournament.
You even said that right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, how do you not say beast
That's
without like a
You got it.
beast
Yes.
voice?
It's the
Okay, so that's going to be June 21st
At the Joyce Middle
at
School.
the Joyce
in
Middle School in
Woburn.
Woburn, right next door. How
Yes.
cool is that?
I believe the games will start somewhere around 8:30.
Okay.
There's going to be, I believe, 3 different games that day played.
Okay.
think so.
Are they like simultaneous?
No, they won't be
Okay.
simultaneous because, one team will play the winner of another team and so on and so forth.
Oh,
Yep.
so it's like a little tournament thing.
Yeah.
Because I think that's actually like the first and probably only time I saw beep ball being played, but I thought there were like 3 fields currently with
Well,
teams.
there
There can
probably
be
are a
different
couple
games
games
going
going
on,
at
yeah.
the same time, but there's going to be those 2 games and
Okay.
then another 2 games and I think then a 3rd game final.
Got it.
So, yeah.
So that's going to be at the Joyce Middle School
Yep.
And-
on the 21st,
on the 21st. And then
the next
I forgot to write down the date,
the next week, the
but
28th.
the 28th.
Yep.
Thank you. In Norwood, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Because there's a Norwood, Massachusetts,
There
and
is.
that's kind of what I was thinking of. Okay, so speaking of Pennsylvania and being an international organization, how do you guys get around? I mean, it's expensive to travel, like going to Taiwan for a baseball game.
Volunteers.
Yep.
We need fundraising.
Volunteers don't have a lot of money either.
Yeah, I know.
So we
But they can drive the cars.
Right, that's the part.
Okay.
That's how we, because generally we rent vans
Yep.
to
Okay.
get to like Pennsylvania the 28th. We'll rent vans and
Okay.
then I'll drive down. So some of the volunteers will either take turns driving each
Okay.
way or drive both ways
Or
depending on
just
their
let
comfort
Dino
level.
drive and,
Now,
he can
Linda.
use the
We wouldn't get
force.
there.
Linda, how do we afford to rent the vans?
Well, that's a good question. And then once you get there,
How do we afford to stay?
tell me.
We need to raise funds.
Yes, you do.
Some of our players apply for grants.
Yep.
Okay.
Some of the money is earned by the games like we're playing on this Saturday.
Okay.
We need corporate donations. We need private donations. Whatever
Okay.
people can do to help to support this team, it's just a win. We need that.
Okay.
We need your support in order to keep this game growing,
Okay.
and it needs to have sustainability.
Yes.
That's Melissa's word.
Yeah. So, Melissa, tell me more about sustainability. He threw you under the bus there, girlfriend.
So with the Renegades being 25 years old,
Yes.
there are very few teams in the league who have made it this many years. It's a big accomplishment to
Yeah.
still be around.
Okay.
There's only about 7 or 8 of us as teams that have made it this long.
Okay. Other teams
and-
just like fold
Yeah,
because they don't
of
have the funding?
not having
or-
volunteers, not being able to recruit players, and a combination thereof.
Okay.
So continuing to grow our volunteer base, continuing to grow in our player base
Okay.
helps with sustaining our program, and we want to be looking to the long term, right? We don't
Okay.
want to, in 2 years, have all of our players that have been around since 2015 or 2012 or before, like my 2007 to age out, and then like stop playing, and then like you don't have your base of players coming up behind us
Right.
that are younger and can continue the sport. So
In another 20 years, you know,
That's where the sustainability
our
is,
rookie
is
over
just-
here might be done.
being able to,
Might be.
so we need. That's why we continually try to get.
Do you
new
like
blood.
currently have any partnerships? Because I'm thinking all we have to do is just call our friend Big Poppy.
We actually have a pretty good relationship with the Woburn Host Lions Club.
Yes.
Okay.
We're developing relationships with other Lions clubs.
Yep.
The Association of Blind Citizens helps to, help us raise funds.
Okay.
But, they need funds too. So, they are
Okay.
a 501c3 organization. Money donated to the Boston Renegades is tax deductible because it is also a 501c3 organization.
Okay.
So that's definitely helpful. And we are one of the few teams in the league that is pretty much fully homegrown.
Yep.
All our players are from Massachusetts.
Okay.
We have, I think, one that started here. He lives out in Oklahoma, but he will be playing for us. So
Wow.
theoretically, he's an out-of-state player, but he's still a Renegade.
Yeah.
Other teams, they'll have players come from other states. They'll scope them out and say, "Hey, want to come play with us?" And
Right.
They might not have too many options either, the way you guys are sounding.
Yeah, some do, but I mean, there was one team that always tried to get ringers, and they won the World Series a number of years.
Yeah.
But
That's not fair.
hey, it's
Did you, next time use duct tape to tape their mask on.
we made it to the second place, position, and we almost won the tournament one year. And again, we're all New Englanders.
Yep.
So
Love it.
yep.
I'm looking down. Where do you guys practice?
In Watertown, primarily.
Okay.
Yep.
So if somebody was interested in volunteering, they would look on your website, check it out.
Yes, they could.
Because
go-
Watertown's kind of a big place. You don't want to
we
just.
practice at Filipello Park
Yep.
in Watertown.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And we're grateful to the Watertown recreational
Parks and Recreations Department.
Yeah.
They've been great. They've
Yeah.
really
Cool.
helped us out over the years, making sure we have our permits and we can play, and it's nice. It's
Oh
good
yeah,
to-
that
good to have
pesky
that.
thing called a permit.
You have to have them. I mean, because Sundays, 12 o'clock rolls around, and there's these soccer players drooling for the field because it's their turn.
And they're staring at their
Yep.
watches.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. So
And another question. With the beep balls or the beep baseballs that you have, they're big.
big.
You need at least 6 per game. You probably need to have more in your storage arsenal
Yes.
because it probably takes time to manufacture and get them, and
They were, especially after the pandemic hit, they were very hard to come by.
Wow.
So, yeah.
the bases are kind of big.
Yep.
Yep. I told you these are roughly $40.
Okay.
The bases are up to $200 a base.
Wow. How often do they need to be replaced?
Not as often as you think. We have a volunteer, Rick, who's really good, and he rewires the switches and the speakers, and so if anything happens, he pops right in there and takes care
So
of it.
when you tackle it,
Right.
Rick goes in there and
Yeah, he's like,
Okay.
Dino, stop.
Yep.
Yeah, Dino, stop that.
I'm sorry, you're fun to pick on.
Hey, it's me.
So, in addition to renting the vans to bring the players, do you have to bring all of your own equipment? Like when you go to Pennsylvania?
The bats.
We'll bring bats, balls, our equipment that we need. We don't generally have to travel with bases.
Okay.
If we sponsor something, then we'll have to provide the equipment. If we're not sponsoring it, we don't have to provide the equipment.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yep.
So like the thing in Woburn, are you hosting?
No, we're not
No.
hosting that, so we don't have to bring anything.
How cool is that?
That's cool. Yes, that's actually very good.
And when you host stuff, is it generally like local?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you wouldn't be hosting anything in New York City.
Right.
No, but
Okay.
for the thing we're doing on Saturday, we're bringing our equipment. So we have
Got
to bring
it.
bases and things for that.
And when you do not bring said bases, where do they live? Do they live in somebody's living room?
I think
coach's
they
garage.
live in Rob's garage, yeah.
Because you know,
much to his wife's chagrin.
I am a Girl Scout leader. I have lots of cookies during cookie season, and
Oh, I want your phone number. I love Girl Scout cookies.
So anyway, yeah, I get that because when you volunteer for something, you end up volunteering your time
And space.
and your storage
Right.
space.
Exactly.
Okay. What have you guys personally learned from, I know Dino touched upon this earlier, but what have you learned? What are some of the lessons or the experiences that you've had because you've been on the team?
Oh, gosh.
Come on, you're smart. You learned something.
I've learned a lot of things.
Nothing that can be repeated.
I was kind of shy. I grew up introverted, didn't really think my voice mattered, but like on the field, you have to use your voice so that the players around you can hear you.
Okay.
And so I developed my voice, and I learned the importance of being able to do that, among other things like teamwork.
Is it also like a confidence thing too?
Absolutely.
Confidence.
Not just projecting.
Oh no, there's exactly. There's all these different things, right? There's confidence. There's believing that you belong out there. There's learning some mental toughness because sometimes the conditions are not great when you're out there. It's cold or it's raining and or it's 95 degrees and you've been out on the field for 4 hours already.
That's brutal.
And you're tired or whatever it may be. So like there's so many different things that you learn
I'd like
as
to
you
make
go.
an observation.
Yep.
Because you have come so far. I mean, you really are. Looking back to when you first started with the team to the person you are now, you are like two totally different people. You are really much more confident, and I'm just, I really think you're great. I think you've done very well.
Yeah, he has the benefit now of being he has the benefit of seeing me when I first joined, and was kind of intimidated by being around mostly guys at the time.
Okay.
There was only one other female player. Yeah, there was only one other. But there was only one other one.
Gender gap kind of equalized?
There's
It's getting better.
But there's
now he gets to be
definitely
the coach,
some gender issues with some of the people in the league.
Yeah.
And we won't touch on that, but
No, but it's hard as a female when you're not confident either to like try to figure out where your role is.
Got it.
So like fitting into a mostly male-dominated sport was tricky at first.
And you're out on a field with 5 guys that are like 5'10", 6
Right,
foot.
and I'm 5'1", right?
Yeah,
So
200 plus pounds, and you really have to have faith and be comfortable with the people out there on the field because
so
you are
trust.
all converging on this beeping ball,
Yeah.
and you have to trust that you're not going to get run over by one of your
So
teammates.
that's another component
You
that's
can't
learned,
see
right?
either
is
because you're
trusting.
blindfolded when you're
blindfolded.
offense.
Trusting,
Wow.
And then there's one hard, fast rule. If you hear somebody yell stop, everybody stops.
Yep.
Because you don't know if they're talking to you or somebody else, but if you don't stop, you could really get hurt.
Right.
Because somebody's running into somebody else and that's why they're yelling stop. So,
Right.
And if somebody does yell stop, then it's either costing somebody a run or an out because
So you better make sure you
Yeah.
need to
Yep.
yell. No false alarm.
Exactly. Yeah, but that's a very hard, fast rule, and we want to keep the game safe. So you stop. Somebody says stop, you stop.
Yep.
So.
So how do you think you've changed?
Me?
Got to be a little bit. You got to have learned one thing.
No, I have learned a lot, and I think one of the biggest strengths I have developed with this sport is my communication. I communicate much better, and I listen better, because I cannot teach someone if I'm not hearing where they're coming from. Because some of our players, we have a rookie on the team, really great guy. We're putting him in the midfield position to get him used to it. It's a new position because he's coming from a go ball background, which is a different sport for the blind. We might touch on that if we have a minute later.
Yeah.
But and he's got in the middle field, you've got 2 shorties in front of you. You've got a first baseman and a third baseman, and you need to be comfortable with the people that are around you. So we're trying to communicate with him, and there's a little bit of a language issue because he comes from Venezuela. And I need to make sure that he understands me, and I need to make sure I understand him in order to communicate the information he needs to be a better player in that spot.
Got it.
Yep.
And one of the best things about having Dino as a coach now is because he's played the sport, he's able to describe how to do certain things in a way that the coaches who
Have never played.
have not played,
Or
understand
he's
sometimes
played for
more
20
or
years
differently
over here.
or something like that.
The only
So
thing
they
that's
relate to
tricky
him
for me
differently.
is I need a reasonable accommodation. I have to have somebody sighted around in order to make sure my instruction is being well. I'll demonstrate something so that the sighted volunteer that's near me, and lately it's been Dana, and she's awesome. But she can,
I know a Dana, and she's awesome too.
but she can make sure that the player I'm coaching is doing the maneuver I'm showing properly, because I can't see if they're
Or
doing it
paying
right.
attention.
Right.
Because of squirrel.
Yeah. Yep.
Where would you like to see the team? I mean, you've been around for, well, the team has been around for 25 years. Mm-hmm. You've seen some changes in the game. You've seen some changes on the team. You have seen changes in yourselves. What direction, or what would you like to see introduced in the next 5 years? Yeah, I know I'm saying see and you're blind. I just can't think of another word.
We use the term also. So, it's
Gosh.
you don't have to see in order to see.
Okay. I'm trying to be politically correct. I really am.
Don't worry about it.
You're all good.
Gosh, 5 years, 10
5
years.
years,
I mean,
10 years.
Really?
You know, Dino's going to be playing in another 25 years, so
He's going to come back and.
I actually made a comment in the break room to Brian before we came out here. I told him, I said, Brian, if I'm here in 25 years to see where the team's at, I'm giving you $1,000. So now I've said it on TV, and if I'm around, you can hold me to it.
Okay.
I would like to see not just the team, but I would like to see our sport grow. I would like to see New England and, this whole region of the country, I would like to see more teams develop. There's a team in Long Island. There's a team here. There are 2 teams here. But I don't know if there's any other close to us. Any other teams?
I mean, the next closest would be New Jersey and Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, where you're going.
Yeah.
So having more teams.
More teams would be great because, and if we have more, if we have a better financial backing for the league, we can play more games together. We can have the sport grow. And hey, maybe, female sports, women's sports is really growing. Maybe we can get this to grow too, You'll see us on ESPN.
Never know, yeah.
Cool.
Yep. And I also want to see the Red Sox more involved. They've been great lately, but I want to, let's play at Fenway.
They could be a little bit better.
Yeah,
we all could be a little bit
we
better.
want to play at Fenway.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
and
thought
one
there
other
was a
thing.
beat ball thing at Fenway last year.
Yes. There was supposed to be actually a game there, but it got rained out.
Oh.
Yeah.
But
They never rescheduled?
Hasn't been rescheduled yet,
Not yet.
but they've been very good about Disability Awareness Night, and they've had us
they actually
there.
had us there last night.
Yep. And over the years, and one year I actually got to throw out the first pitch with my teammates behind me for one of those nights, and so we're hoping to continue to nurture the relationship with them.
But even if you didn't work directly with Boston, the Worcester Red Sox, they have a brand new field.
Yeah.
They're very family friendly. They seem to be more accessible,
And we
where
have
you
had a
don't have
table
to
there
take
before.
out a second mortgage on your
pay the
house to
ticket.
buy a ticket. So,
I have one more aspect of the game
yes.
that you, as a spectator, need to be aware of.
Okay.
And this is very, very serious.
Don't yell stop.
No. Don't cheer when the ball is hit. You may be really happy that the guy hit the ball, but the guys in the field need to hear the ball. So when the ball is either picked up or the guy hits the base, then you can go crazy cheering. But do not cheer when the batter hits the ball.
Got
The difference between that and being at a Woo Sox game or
Because they stop the game if there's a jet going overhead. We call timeout because they can't hear the ball in the field when the jet's going over. So we got to just be quiet.
Got it. Okay. Yep. Now, a couple of questions as you were talking. First aid, safety, do you have to have like a first aider on the team should someone get hit in the head with a baseball or a baseball bat? Or, what are some of the...
I took a baseball in the lip.
Ow!
Yeah, I did. This was at a tournament. Rosie Rosie Kaler Reed from Texas went and hit a ground ball.
Okay.
And I laid out for the ball, and the ball smacked me in the lip, and I picked up the ball, and I got her out. And then our coach, Matt Nippens, comes over to me and says, "Ooh, you got another mouth." I'm like, what?
Ooh.
So he's like, "No, you got to go to the hospital and get stitches." So I went to the hospital, and she's like, "Well, I can't give you Novocaine to do this right away because it'll swell up." So I said, "Well, do what you got to do." So she puts in the first couple of stitches, and he's going all over the place. He's great, and I'm just sitting there while she's doing it. And he's like, "Oh my God, you are so tough." I'm like, "Well, no, she had to do what she had to do." And
Yeah, but didn't it hurt?
No. It was a numb from being hit, so didn't bother me at all. And then the coach wouldn't let me go back in and play.
But at tournaments,
Because you were just in the emergency room.
Yeah, but if I was a hockey player, they would have let me out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
ball's
but we all know, no, I'm not even going to go to my opinions on hockey.
But it's beneficial if you have somebody that knows first aid on the
Yes.
team.
Okay.
We have in the past have a couple of volunteers with that knowledge.
Okay.
not a
and
requirement, though.
We'd love to have that, but usually at the World Series tournament, there's an ambulance standing by.
Okay.
We pay to have that, or the tournament organizer will pay to have that done, because the World Series, you've got, 15 to 20 teams there, so you definitely want, paramedics standing by in case something happens.
Well, you had mentioned that you have roughly on a good day close to 40 people on your team.
They never show up at the same time.
Well, they never show up at the same time. But I'm leaning into how many people, how would you start another team?
Technically, if we have that many players that show up regularly, we have enough players to start a second team.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
since we don't have that many players regularly, because it would be great to have a B squad.
Okay.
And if that were the case, we could actually have technically a recreational team and a competitive team.
Ooh, okay.
It would be like a farm team. But,
Okay.
it's everything's, up for grabs at this point. But, the more volunteers we have, the more players we have, the more money we have, the more we can grow.
Because I'm just thinking having a third team might make things a little more interesting.
It could be, as long as there's enough resources
Right.
to
Okay.
pay for both teams, or all three teams. So
Okay.
that's what we need. Resources are a huge ask. So,
Okay.
For everybody in the sport.
Right.
Okay, I'm going through the questions, and I think we've answered most of them. And I know I asked you about how you've changed. Is there any one game, one practice, one event, one something that when somebody says, "Tell me about beep ball," is there any one story that just comes to mind that holds a special place in your heart?
It's hard to choose because I've been a part of the sport for so long that highlights just kind of keep adding up. When a player makes their first put out or scores their first run, it's always a big deal. We celebrate it. Milestones. Being able to throw out the first pitch for me was a memorable moment.
Okay.
Being part of the
That's
team.
an awesome
it's just, Yeah.
That is
it's
really
just-
cool.
I wish I was there when she did that. I wasn't there. Well,
Yeah. It's lots of moments.
Were you on the team the first time we beat the Bombers?
Yes, at that point.
Okay. That game is probably my most memorable game because I think that's the game that everything clicked for me. And the field was wet, and I was playing third base, and I just felt like I was on fire. And this guy, Matt, from the Long Island Bombers, hits the ball, and I'm running for the ball, and I slide down and my hand just comes in contact with the ball, and I'm just like, up.
Got it.
And it was like, that was just such a smooth play for me. And that game just clicked. And it was the first time we beat the Bombers. And since I had been with the team, it was just awesome. It
I
was
love
a
it.
great
Big deal,
experience.
yeah.
Well, we are out of time. However, am going to make the executive decision to stretch it out a little bit more because we did allude to the fact that you guys have a present for me.
Indeed.
And it's not even my birthday. I love it. And I've had a really crummy day, so this is like really exciting.
Yep.
Here is a ball for you from the Association of Blind Citizens Boston Renegades.
Yay!
So
And it's got the
dead ball.
website written right on it.
Yep.
So this is unfortunately a dead ball, so
Right,
it won't
it will
beep
not-
for you. But it is signed and it is for
My
you.
cat will probably appreciate the fact that it does not beep.
Right.
That is the new style ball that I had mentioned. That is the Fonzie ball, and it doesn't have the big speaker on it like this one does.
It's got a little speaker.
Yep, it's a little speaker,
Yep.
but it still makes a big noise when it beeps.
Cool.
It's actually a nice ball to play with, so it's not as obnoxious as that. It actually has a deeper tone. It's much more pleasant to listen to because once you pull the pin on this,
Yeah.
it does not stop until the game is over, or the ball breaks and you got to break out another ball.
You can't put the button back in?
Nope, because the umpire pulls the pin, goes in his pocket, and then the ball's in play. And now, if the pitcher's at the mound, he'll cover the speaker like this, you know.
Okay.
But yeah, no, but otherwise, it's
All right.
get in the hole there. There we go.
Thank you for helping us tell our story. Yay!
Yes, thank you very
Thank
much for
you
having
guys
us.
so
Really,
much.
thank you so much for having us.
And I
here.
will do
Really
my
appreciate
best
it.
to. I'm not going to Pennsylvania. Tell you right now.
That's fine.
But
I don't get it.
thank you so much for coming on and sharing your stories. And Dino, thank you for letting me pick on you. And I also, I also want to.
We all have calling cards.
Yes, we do.
My calling card, no, as players.
Okay.
You know, so somebody get that. I was old man power. Yeah.
Got it.
So it's not just you.
Okay. But I do want to thank everyone at home for tuning in, and I hope you are inspired to go volunteer, whether it's for the Renegades, whether it's for adaptive sports, anywhere. Just get out, make new friends, learn new skills, and appreciate each other. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening. See you around town. Good night.